Boys and girls, welcome to another video on this channel. Today we are going to be continuing with the World War One. Oh my god, my throat is killing me, by the way, so I might just, I might fuck up my words a tiny bit. But anyway, yeah, this is the second installment into the World War One Oversimplified series, or videos that I'm watching right now. So I've done a part 1. If you want to go check that one out, it's going to be in the description down below. I suggest you do, so that you're in the loop and you know what the fuck is going on. If you don't want to watch the first one, it's fine by me. You can just check this one out anyway. Now, I'm pretty sure I have already said what video I'm going to be watching. So yeah, you lot already know, and you've probably seen the title and the thumbnail. So I don't really have to do an introduction at this point. The original video will always be in the description down below as well. As always, if you do in the end enjoy this video, or you do enjoy my reaction essentially, then be sure to subscribe and also like the video. Let's stop chit-chatting and get straight into this video.
With both sides stuck in a hard stalemate, they knew this war wasn't going to be about taking territory, but about simply wearing each other down. The Allies had plenty of men to expand from its overseas dominions, and the British also started a naval blockade, so Germany couldn't import stuff, like food. Neither side really wanted a long, grueling war, though, so they both thought of ways to break the deadlock on the Western Front. Idea number 1, new frontiers. When the war first broke out, Australia was quick to take German New Guinea. The Allies also quickly jumped on Germany's colonies in Africa, and particularly in German East Africa, locals were enlisted as
surrounded them
carriers by both sides, leading to a tragic loss of life for the native Africans. Some new combatants entered the war as well. The Allies' new friends were Italy and Japan. Japan was busy building itself an empire, so it was more than happy to take away German islands and colonies in East Asia.
Wow. Everyone is against Germany. Jesus Christ. Even Japan. Like Russia, the whole of essentially Europe. What chance does Germany have at this point? Like, Jesus Christ. Now, he doesn't really say what year it is, because I know it ended in 1918. So I don't know, when was this, when Japan took over the German islands and whatnot? If any of you have any clue when that would have happened, then be sure to let me know down in the comments. Because yeah, I feel like this is nearing the end, and the crucial part where they mount up on Germany and take over and win the war. We'll see.
Italy actually had an alliance with Germany and Austria-Hungary before the war, but after some tense relations, and then the Allies promising to give them some of Austria-Hungary's stuff,
oh no.
Sides.
Now everyone's against them.
But like everyone else,
even Italy,
stalemate for most of the war. The Central Powers' new friend was a struggling empire in the Middle East. The Ottomans.
Oh, okay.
The Ottoman were divided on whether to actually join the war or not, since
so they've got some friends
by the recent Balkan Wars. Some of the politicians who did want to join went off on their own and fired some shells at Russia.
Oh.
And then came back and said, "Whoops, looks like we're at war now." The Ottoman entry into the war was of particular concern to the British, since the Middle East was full of oil, and Britain wanted all of that oil. First, the Ottomans tried to attack Russia in the Caucasus Mountains, but they weren't prepared for the cold, and many of them froze to death. Then they crossed miles of desert to take the Suez Canal from the British.
Suez Canal.
Then the Allies tried to take the Dardanelles at Gallipoli in a long and hard trench warfare campaign, but that also failed. The Ottomans blamed their initial losses on the ethnic Armenians living within Ottoman territory, and the resulting Armenian genocide led to the deaths of 1.5 million people. Then the Ottomans sent spies into Afghanistan to try to convince the Arab tribes there to rise up in jihad against the British and attack India. But that plan failed, partly because the spies got bored, brewed their own alcohol, and got drunk, which is a bad thing to do in Afghanistan.
Dude.
All these new frontiers hadn't
They're
done
at
much to
war
change
and they're
the
just
war.
like
Aware that the Allies had more men and supplies than them, the Germans knew they had to do something to break the stalemate. Before the war, there was a big conference that set out the rules of modern warfare. No chemical weapons, no killing civilians. Basically, don't be jerks.
Oh yeah,
the
that makes
Germans held a
sense.
meeting and decided to be jerks. Zeppelin air raids commenced over British cities.
My word.
They also started attacking the Allied trenches with chlorine gas, and they used submarines to
God
sink civilian
almighty.
ships. One such civilian ship was the Lusitania, which had 159 Americans on board when it was sunk, further swaying U.S. opinion against the Germans.
America is not
unfair to the Germans. The Allies also
not happy about that one.
Soon after, and they had been hiding anti-submarine weapons on their civilian ships, which let the Germans justify their attacks.
Okay.
Meanwhile, Austria-Hungary
Well,
still
that makes
hadn't
more
dealt with
sense.
Serbia,
But
so
still,
the
that's
Central Powers enlisted some help.
a bit low.
Bulgaria wished it was bigger and was still bitter about losing the Second Balkan War. The Central Powers promised to make all of Bulgaria's wildest dreams come true if they helped, so they signed on, and together they knocked out Serbia.
Oh,
the Serbian
wow.
troops retreated through Albania, which was neutral but had some ties.
It wasn't
Austria-Hungary.
Serbia.
So
What is that other
Austria-Hungary
country?
entered
I don't
in a friendly
remember what it
invasion
was.
to chase down the Serbians, many of whom escaped by sea. It's 1916. And
1916.
As if they didn't have enough enemies
Oh, so
already,
they've taken over a
Germany
bit
added
now.
one
Fuck.
more to the list. Portugal had
comeback
been getting a
was
bit chummy
real.
with the Allies behind the scenes, and Germany didn't like that one bit. Around the same time, the only sea battle of the war happened. Both sides had a new powerful class of
the
battleships
Navy.
called dreadnoughts, but they were so expensive to build that neither side wanted to risk losing them in a battle. So they kept them in port, except for one time when they had a big fight and a bunch of them got damaged. So they didn't try that again.
Okay.
The UK started conscripting men to the army, so they had plenty of reserves, which is just as well because the Western Front was about to get brutal. The longest and one of the bloodiest battles of the war started when the Germans launched an attack around the French city of Verdun. The French defended it desperately, leading to hundreds of thousands of casualties.
Oh, hundreds of
the French called on
thousands!
its allies to do something to draw the Germans' attention
Holy
away. So the
crap.
British started their own long and brutal fight, the Battle of the Somme, with 60,000 British casualties on just the first day.
Holy 60,000 in one day. Dude, that is a huge flipping number. 60,000. That's like an entire, like a fucking football stadium, right? I'm pretty sure they can fit around 60, right? Like the huge ones. Why am I tripping? They just die in one day. That is bonkers. Holy shit. They must have been like just fighting like every second. Hang on a minute. Wait. Let me just do some maths. How many seconds is it in a day? Is it 86,400? I'm just gonna Google it real quick. Oh yeah, it is 86,400. So essentially, every 1.5 seconds, I'm pretty sure, even less than that, a guy died during that day. Sometimes you just have to deep those stats, man. You just have to deep it.
It was also here that the British first used one crazy brand new piece of sci-fi technology.
Oh, the tank. Is that when the tank came out?
Pushed back further and further into
The new DLC.
But in response to the French call for help, they began a huge offensive, and did really well until they ran out of supplies and got stuck. Seeing how well the Russians had been doing, Romania decided now would be a great time to jump in and win the war.
Romania!
And they got pounded.
Oh,
the Greeks
shit.
were fighting amongst themselves about whether to join the war or not. The king liked the Central Powers, while the Prime Minister wanted to join the Allies. After a brief national schism, during which the country split into two, the king finally abdicated and the country reunited. With Allied help, they began a new offensive.
Oh, here we
In the
go.
Middle East, Russia was pushing into Ottoman territory from the north. The British had also made a landing in Mesopotamia to protect Persia's oil fields, and they had also sent a small army
Protect
up
the
the Tigris
oil.
River to try to take Baghdad. But the army got sieged in the town of Kut along the way, and eventually surrendered. A new offensive was launched from the south with all-out desert warfare. The offensive was aided by one famous British officer, better known as Lawrence of Arabia, who helped lead the Arab tribes in a revolt that wreaked havoc on the Ottoman supply lines. By the time 1917 rolled around, everyone was exhausted. There were mutinies in the French army, the German populace was starving, and the war had drained all of Russia's supplies. There was no clear winner, and it was still anyone's war. The only question now was, who was going to break first?
Yeah, that is
And
the
answer
question.
was Russia. Tired of not eating and mad that a crazy magic homeless guy was calling some of the shots, there was an uprising in Petrograd complete with riots and strikes. The riots turned into a full-scale revolution and a new government overthrew the Tsar. Then a few months later, the Bolsheviks overthrew the new government, and they pulled Russia out of the war. This was great news for Germany, who now only had to focus on the Western Front. But there was still one problem. The pesky United States of America was looking increasingly like it was going to join the war. America had been selling supplies to the Allies throughout the war.
Once that happens, it's done.
Off the back of it, meaning it was in fantastic shape and was dangerous to the Germans.
Damn.
So Germany sent a telegram to Mexico saying, "Wouldn't it be crazy cool if you guys attacked America?" The British intercepted the message, showed it to the Americans, and that was the final straw. American troops began shipping out to Europe.
Germany, you don't
fucked
up now, mate.
And they knew their only hope now was to force France and the UK to surrender before the fresh American troops arrived. It was now or never, so they started one final attack. They converged their troops and hit hard at the Somme and pushed the Allies back. They hit a second time further north, then again and again.
Oh wow.
With each hit, the Germans were spending more and more resources, while the Allies were getting better and better.
This is their last chance.
By the fifth punch, the Allies held the line and even pushed back.
Wow.
With American troops now arriving in larger numbers,
yeah, it's over now, man.
And that
it's over now. They've got reinforcements.
The Central Powers were being pushed back on all fronts.
Yeah.
Bulgaria collapsed first, followed by the Ottoman Empire, then Austria-Hungary, and finally on November 11th, 1918, at 11 o'clock, Germany surrendered. At the peace treaty, Germany was forced to reduce its military, accept war guilt, and pay the bill for the war. After indescribable suffering and millions dead,
17 million?
never had such an war again.
Holy shit. Mate, some of those stats though, Jesus Christ, they're shocking. I did not know that 17 million people perished and died during World War One. I thought it was around like 10 or something, you know, around that number, but 17. Holy crap. That is a big flipping number. For 4 years. I mean, I think World War Two was 5, and I don't remember exactly how many died then, but yeah, World War Two must have been a lot more. But still, that is a large amount in just like 4 years. But yeah, I thought, like, you know, in the beginning, Japan came in, took all the islands. You know, Italy came in, you know, started battling. It didn't really go that well, and then Romania started. But then, I don't know, they must have just not been good at, you know, battling and stuff, because, you know, ultimately they did lose, and they did lose a lot of land and shit from Germany. But yeah, I never really knew that the Ottoman Empire really had a big impact on this. Something completely new that I learned. And then the tank also came out. That's pretty cool that they were able to show what they were working on, building the tanks and stuff. I still can't get that number on my head, that battle with 60,000 people dying in one day. That is just something that I can't even comprehend. Like, just think of that. You don't even want to think about that, because that's just terrifying. That's horrible. You know what I mean? And that was like, you know, this is back in the day, innit? 1916, I think, is when it happened. Now we've got nukes. We've got fucking weapons of mass destruction that can probably kill 60,000 people in a second. But yeah, I do really enjoy these oversimplified videos. They're really enjoyable to watch, you know, they're simple to understand and stuff. And there's a lot in here that I never really even knew or thought about. And that a message is what sparked America to join. Not even like them bombing America or just what they did before, you know, destroying a ship. It was a message saying that Mexico would attack them, and that sparked it and made essentially Germany lose. But I don't know, did the message still like get to Mexico? I'm guessing Mexico never got the message. But what if Mexico did want to attack America? That would have really like changed everything, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, this was an enjoyable video to say the least. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. But yeah, this was a great video. Now the next one probably that I'm going to be watching is obviously the World War II one that he gave a bit of a tip about in the end of the video there, so I'm going to check that one out. I think I've got a bit more knowledge about World War II because I've watched some movies and I know like a few events that have happened. So if you do want to check that one out when it comes out, be sure to subscribe and also put that notification thing on, right? It helps with putting my video out there. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this up and we are going to continue with our days. As always, stay safe and I will hopefully see you in my next up and coming video coming out in the future.